Welcome back, Sister Scriptorians. Okay, so today we get to now read Helaman chapter 1. We are going to need to read like 2 chapters every day to catch up. But anyways, I wanted to show you this cute, awesome, gorgeous picture of what Heidi Carter drew. And isn't that just beautiful? And it's called Sure Foundation by Heidi Carter. Really cute, really cute. There's a quote that I wanted to read. It's to become a scriptorian and to know that it's possible for us, And it's a quote from President Spencer W. Kimball. He says, "I stress again the deep need each woman has to study the scriptures. We want our homes to be blessed with sister scriptorians, whether you are single or married, young or old, widowed or living in a family. Regardless of your particular circumstances, as you become more and more familiar with the truths of the scriptures, you will be more and more effective in keeping the second great commandment, to love your neighbor as yourself. Become scholars of the scriptures, not to put others down, but to lift them up. After all, who has any greater need to treasure up the truths of the gospel on which they may call in their moments of need than do women and mothers who do so much nurturing and teaching?" End quote. So good. Thank you, President Spencer W. Kimball. He's amazing. October 1979 General Conference. So we have the capacity to be scriptorians. And I think it's just awesome. Like, it's not something that we have to feel, I don't know, like there's always going to be people that are better than us at things. So we're going to have that tendency to compare, but we know that as we continue to study and as we continue to come closer to Christ, that we can develop these sister scriptorian type, things, qualities and things. Like, we'll start memorizing scriptures and we'll start having quotes in our minds, and we'll start, I was the last person on the planet who would ever want to read out loud. Like, my reading was so poor, and my mom tried to help me with my reading, and she would have me record me reading out loud. But the problem was that I would fall asleep all the time. And so I'd stop the recording and I'd have to rewind the tape so that I could restart, and I would fall asleep again. And it was just one of those things that I just couldn't really get practice on, because I would just fall asleep whenever I would start reading. And anyway, now look at me reading out loud to you the scriptures because it's just awesome. The scriptures are awesome. I don't know if reading out loud is fantastic, but definitely reading the scriptures is fantastic. So what I want to do is I want to instill that belief that we can all be scriptorians into my children. And that is so far not necessarily going as much as I'd want, because I want them to read on their own. And we keep talking about it, trying to encourage them. And maybe we need to just set aside a time where it's like, okay, today, this is the block of time that we're just all going to sit down and read our scriptures. I don't know. Maybe that will work, because it seems like them making intentional time themselves is not working so good. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share there. Okay, so Helaman chapter 1. Okay, so here we go with the summary. It's a big summary. It says an account. I might need the light here. That didn't do much. Okay. An account of the Nephites, their wars and contentions, their dissensions, and also the prophecies of many holy prophets before the coming of Christ, according to the records of Helaman, who was the son of Helaman, aka Helaman Jr., and also according to the records of his sons, even down to the coming of Christ. And also many of the Lamanites are converted, an account of their conversion, an account of the righteousness of the Lamanites, and the wickedness and abominations of the Nephites. This is when the Nephites and the Lamanites switch, right? According to the record of Helaman and his sons, even down to the coming of Christ, which is called the Book of Helaman. Okay, so chapter 1, Pahoran the second becomes chief judge and is murdered by Kishkumen. Pekumenai fills the judgment seat. Coriantumr leads the Lamanite armies, takes Zarahemla and slays Pekumenai. Moronihah defeats the Lamanites and retakes Zarahemla, and Coriantumr is slain. So it seems like there's going to be a lot of war, secret combinations, and things. So we're going to have lots of stuff going on over here. Okay. Here we go. There's a quote from Elder M. Russell Ballard. It says, oh, I don't know what I just did. It went blank. Hold on. Okay, weird. Okay, quote, if we are not careful, today's secret combinations can obtain power and influence just as quickly and just as completely as they did in the Book of Mormon times. Do you remember the pattern? The secret combinations began among the more wicked part of society, but eventually seduced the more part of the righteous until the whole society was polluted, end quote. Oof. And that's from October 1997 General Conference. We do need to be wary of those secret combinations so that we don't fall into that kind of temptation. Okay, Helaman, chapter 1, verse 1. An account of the Nephites, their wars and contentions and their dissensions, and also the prophecies of many holy prophets. So I take off my glasses not because I can see better without them, but just because I'm not used to them. So I just enlarge the font over here, so it's just easier. But it's funny how much this does kind of make it better, but I don't know what's wrong with them, like these glasses. They're just like kind of smudgy or something. I don't know. But I just can't seem to clean them that good. And I'm using my t-shirt. Maybe that's the bad. Maybe that's what's bad. I'm not supposed to use t-shirt material. That's a little bit better, but still they're broken. So anyway, we'll just keep going like this. Okay. And also the prophecies of many holy prophets before the coming of Christ, according to the records of Helaman, Helaman Jr., who was the son of Helaman, and also according to the records of his sons, and then even down to the coming of Christ. Oh, wait, just kidding. I just read that. Okay, let's not waste time rereading stuff. Okay, verse 1. And now, usually they don't put this chapter summary in the Redhead Hostess stuff, so that's why I started reading it. Apparently they did this time. Okay, so, and now behold, it came to pass in the commencement of the 40th year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nephi, there began to be a serious difficulty among the people of the Nephites. For behold, Pahoran had died and gone the way of all the earth. Therefore, there began to be a serious contention concerning who should have the judgment seat among the brethren who were the sons of Pahoran. Oh, that's got to be a struggle. Okay, now these are the names who did contend for the judgment seat, who did also cause the people to contend. Oh. Okay, so we had the brothers, Pahoran, Payankai, and Pekumenai. Now, I can relate to Pahoran wanting to name his kids all P names because we named all of our kids F names. So Finn, Faust, Flora, and then we have our dog Frodo, right? So that's not the weird part here. The weird part is that they all want to fight for the same thing, right? Okay, now these are not all the sons of Pahoran, for he had many. Oh, okay, so he had a lot of sons. But these are they who did, I wonder if the other ones had P names. These are they who did contend for the judgment seat. Therefore, they did cause 3 divisions among the people. Nevertheless, it came to pass that Pahoran Jr. was appointed by the voice of the people to be the chief judge and a governor over the people of Nephi. And it came to pass that Pekumenai, when he saw that he could not obtain the judgment seat, he did unite with the voice of the people. But behold, Payankai and that part of the people that were desirous that he should be their governor was exceedingly wroth. Therefore, he was about to flatter away those people to rise up in rebellion against their brethren. So now we have 3 divisions among people. And that's not cool, right? And it came to pass, as he was about to do this, behold, he was taken and was tried according to the voice of the people and condemned unto death. So Paankai was condemned unto death, for he had raised up in rebellion and sought to destroy the liberty of the people. Dude, but now it's like, you're going to kill your brother? Gosh, this is so messed up. Now when those people who were desirous that he should be their governor saw that he was condemned unto death, therefore they were angry, and behold, they sent forth one Kishkumen, even to the judgment seat of Pahoran, and murdered Pahoran as he sat upon the judgment seat. So, dude, so not cool. People are murdering their families. Okay, and he was pursued by the servants of Pahoran, but behold, so speedy was the flight of Kishkumen that no man could overtake him. And he went unto those that sent him, and they all entered into a covenant, yea, swearing by their everlasting Maker that they would not tell, or that they would tell no man that Kishkumen had murdered Pahoran. Therefore, Kishkumen was not known among the people. Obviously, somebody knew because Mormon wrote it in here. Therefore, Kishkumen was not known among the people of Nephi, for he was in disguise at the time that he murdered Pahoran. And Kishkumen and his band, who had covenanted with him, did mingle themselves among the people in a manner that they all could not be found. But as many as were found were condemned unto death. And now, behold, Pachumeni was appointed, according to the voice of the people, to be the chief judge and a governor over the people, to reign in the stead of his brother Pahoran. And it was according to his right, and all that this was done in the 40th year of the reign of the judges, and it had an end. Wow, that's crazy. So they were trying to kill Paankai. Because they didn't kill Paankai. Peep, who was on Paankai's side, Kishkumen, decided, I'm going to kill Pahoran. And so then he did. And now Kishkumen is like secret guy who's the assassin of Peeps. Anyway, that's wild. Okay, so we're at verse 13 real quick. A little bit of a recap here. So Mormon points out in verse 12 that these were Nephite citizens that mingled among the other Nephites in a manner that they all could not be found, which means that they had a way of not being found out. They would have been known to each other, but not to the other Nephites and not to the justice system. So they were like underground or undercover peeps, right? And now out of the three brothers who wanted the judgment seat, only one was left living, and he was appointed to be chief judge and governor. Wait, did they kill? So did they kill Paankai then? I mean, he was supposed to be killed. He was condemned unto death, but I don't know if that means that he died. But I guess, oh yeah, I guess Kishkumen. Okay, so Pahoran and Paankai died. Got it. Okay, that makes sense then, because there was only the one left. But you know that's not even going to be all the whole story, right? Okay. Here we go. We're going to do verse 14. And it came to pass in the 41st year of the reign of the judges that the Lamanites had gathered together an innumerable army of men and armed them with sword and with scimitars, with bows and with arrows and with headplates and with breastplates and with all manner of shields of every kind. Okay, so they're learning now from the Nephites what kind of armor is essential when you're battling, and armor that can protect you from your enemies. So then it says, and it came down, and they came down again, that they might pitch battle against the Nephites. And they were led by a man whose name was Coriantumr. And he was a descendant of Zarahemla, and he was a dissenter from among the Nephites, and he was a large and a mighty man. Okay. So dissenters are people who get offended, who are Nephites, but get offended. Sad. Anyway, verse 16, therefore the king of the Lamanites, whose name was Tubaloth, who was the son of Ammoron, supposing that Coriantumr, being a mighty man, could stand against the Nephites with his strength and also with his great wisdom, insomuch that by sending him forth, he should gain power over the Nephites. Therefore, he did stir them up to anger, and he did gather together his armies, and he did appoint Coriantumr to be their leader, and did cause that they should march down to the land of Zarahemla to battle against the Nephites. And it came to pass that because of so much contention and so much difficulty in the government, that they had not kept sufficient guards in the land of Zarahemla, for they had supposed that the Lamanites durst not come into the heart of their lands to attack that great city Zarahemla. Why wouldn't you think the Lamanites could attack that? That's because they're getting lazy, they're getting weak. But it came to pass that Coriantumr did march forth at the head of his numerous hosts, and came upon the inhabitants of the city, and their march was with such exceedingly great speed that there was no time for the Nephites to gather together their armies. Therefore, Coriantumr did cut down the watch by the entrance of the city, and did march forth with his whole army into the city, and they did slay everyone who did not oppose them, who did oppose them, insomuch that they did take possession of the whole city. Okay, so the Lamanites capture Zarahemla. And it came to pass that Pekumenai was the chief judge, did flee before Coriantumr, even to the walls of the city. And it came to pass that Coriantumr did smite him against the wall, insomuch that he died. And thus ended the days of Pekumenai. So all the P names are gone. Now, when Coriantumr saw that he was in possession of the city of Zarahemla, and saw that the Nephites had fled before them, and were slain, and were taken, and were cast into prison. Sorry, I have like little cricks in my neck. Okay. Were slain and were taken, and were cast into prison, that they had obtained the possession of the strongest hold in all the land. His heart took courage, insomuch that he was about to go forth against all the land. And now he did not tarry in the land of Zarahemla, but he did march forth with a large army, even towards the city of Bountiful. For it was his determination to go forth and cut his way through with the sword, that he might obtain the north parts of the land. And supposing that their greatest strength was in the center of the land, therefore he did march forth, giving them no time to assemble themselves together, save it were in small bodies. And in this manner they did fall upon them, and cut them down to the earth. But behold, this march of Coriantumr through the center of the land gave Moronihah great advantage over them, notwithstanding the greatness of the number of the Nephites who were slain. Okay. A lot of stuff going on here. Okay. Let's see if we can recap a little bit. The Nephites were in similar situation as the Nephites in Alma 51. Before Alma 51, Captain Moroni was able to successfully keep the Lamanites out of all the Nephite cities. But in Alma 51, he was dealing with the kingmen. Remember this? In Zarahemla, and the Lamanites were able to come in and capture several cities. Moroni blamed the entire war on this. Because of the division that happened in Zarahemla, they were not able to keep their cities properly guarded. Makes sense, because remember, you got to be united. That helps in keeping us strong. And so they were not able to keep their cities, and then it turned into a really long and bloody battle as they tried to recapture the cities, right? So now the Lamanites were coming at a time when there was so much contention because of what was happening with the sons of Pahoran. Remember Pahoran, Pekumenai, and Paankai? And they had not kept sufficient guards in the land of Zarahemla. So we see what Tubaloth saw in Coriantumr in verse 19. He did not go after an outlying city. He marched straight to the heart of the Nephite nation. He went to Zarahemla. The Nephites did not expect this. They did not think that the Lamanites would come into the heart of their lands. And Coriantumr marched his armies in so quickly that the Nephites could not gather their armies fast enough. So the Lamanites marched right in, slaying as they went, and they took possession of the entire city of Zarahemla, and they killed Pekumenai. So just like that, 3 of Pahoran's sons were killed, and Zarahemla was captured, just within like 2 years or something. Coriantumr then went toward the city of Bountiful. His plan was to obtain the north parts of the land. This was brilliant because the Nephites did not expect this. So they were not prepared for this kind of attack. So as the Nephite armies were scrambling to fight the Lamanites, they were not able to do more than gather in small bodies, which were easily cut down. And then Moronihah, Captain Moroni's son, was the chief captain now, and he was not expecting this kind of an attack. But Moronihah, like his father, will quickly come up with the strategy for this unexpected attack. Here we go. So verse 26. For behold, Moronihah had supposed that the Lamanites durst not come into the center of the land, but that they would attack the cities round about the borders as they had hitherto done before. Moronihah had caused that their strong armies should maintain those parts round about the borders. But behold, the Lamanites were not frightened according to his desire, but they had come into the center of the land and had taken the capital city, which was the city of Zarahemla, and were marching through the most capital parts of the land, slaying the people with a great slaughter, both men, women, and children, taking possession of many cities and of many strongholds. But when Moronihah had discovered this, he immediately sent forth Lehi with an army round about to the head of them before they should come to the land bountiful. And thus he did, and he did head them before they came to the land bountiful, and gave unto them battle, insomuch that they began to retreat backwards to the land of Zarahemla. And it came to pass that Moronihah did head them in their retreat, and did give unto them battle, insomuch that it became an exceedingly bloody battle. Yea, many were slain, and among the number who were slain, Coriantumr was found. Okay. And now, behold, the Lamanites could not retreat either way, neither on the north, nor on the south, nor on the east, nor on the west, for they were now surrounded. They were surrounded on every hand by the Nephites. I added the now. And thus had Coriantumr plunged the Lamanites into the midst of the Nephites, insomuch that they were in the power of the Nephites, and he himself was slain. And the Lamanites did yield themselves into the hands of the Nephites. And it came to pass that Moronihah took possession of the city of Zarahemla again, and caused that the Lamanites who had been taken prisoners should depart out of the land in peace. And thus ended the 41st year of the reign of the judges. Amazing. You know, sometimes we do get caught off guard, but if we have trained, if we have practiced, if we have done those things, and we have strength in different areas, we can quickly reposition ourselves to attack the adversary, and then we can take back our peace, we can take back ourselves, because we have practiced, because we have strengthened and fortified ourselves in the past. Not like super past, but you know, sometimes I think this is kind of like an example of, like, you know, maybe you didn't read your scriptures for like a week and you're feeling extra attacked by the enemy. Well, you know, that doesn't mean that you have not been strengthened or fortified in the past. You have, and you, although might feel a little bit like scattered, you can still bring in all your forces and push out the enemy, kind of thing. And I think it's important for us to remember, like, just because we're not perfect at our dailies, or at our, what do I want to call our righteous routines, just because we're not perfect at those doesn't mean that we are weak, or like super weak, right? It might mean we're weakened, but it doesn't mean that we are completely weak and lost and we're not ever going to be able to do anything, so we may as well give up, right? Because that's what Satan wants us to do. He's like, well, you missed a couple days, so you may as well miss the rest of this week, or you missed this week, so you may as well miss this next week. You know, what's the harm in that? No, like, I think it's like, if you miss a week, that's great. Like, just keep going. Like, it's fine. You know, it's going to be fine. Yeah, we won't be our strongest, but that doesn't mean we should give up, like, trying, right? So if you fail at being super consistent with your righteous routines, it's okay. Just keep going. It happens to the best of us. Clearly, Moronihah could take over and take back the land of Zarahemla, even though it got taken over for a small time. Why? Because he had strategies, he had strength, he had all of the fortifications that they had, he had reinforcements, and he had all the things he needed. He just needed to reposition everything to make sure that it would work out in the end, right? So I love that so much. Something that we can learn. So let's see. Moronihah immediately sent Lehi and his army to head off the Lamanite army before they reached Bountiful, Remember that Lehi, Teancum, and Moroni were the captains that were involved in the last war from the start to the finish. Lehi was now the only one of those three who was still alive. I wonder if he was pretty old though now, right? And his experience and expertise made him the perfect man for this job. So Lehi headed them off, and his army gave them such a battle that the Lamanites began to retreat back to Zarahemla, only to find that Moronihah was there waiting when they turned around, right? With the Lamanites in the middle, Coriantumr was slain. In verse 32, we learn that Moronihah was just like his father. Whenever possible, he would preserve life. With the Lamanite soldiers unable to run and escape, the Nephites could have easily finished them off or imprison them, but like his father, Moronihah allowed them to depart out of the land in peace. Mm-hmm. Okay, love that. Okay, so a couple questions. Why wasn't Moronihah able to protect Zarahemla? Okay, how can we liken this to our own lives? I kind of already just did that. What strategy did Moronihah use to stop the Lamanite army? What, right? Like send stuff ahead, behind, and now they're surrounded, right? That was his strategy. And how can we become a Lehi in God's army? Ooh, I love that. Okay, and then I'm going to read it, live it for Helaman chapter 1. Okay, here we go. It says, here's the read it, live it. It says, when Moronihah sees a problem rising, he immediately sends forth an army to head it off. Do you sense a problem rising? Be proactive immediately and head it off. Ooh, I like that. Let's notice that kind of stuff. All right. Until Helaman chapter 2, stay strong, warrior.